Good morning, everybody, and this is your DAX day trade setups for today. So our inverse head and shoulders or cup and handle pattern here has tested a couple of times, but I see we're not adhering to the neckline at the moment. We are flirting with it. So essentially, right now, the entry on the 8 hour is above this bar, this pin bar that rejected here. At the moment, with price action doing what it's doing, more than likely looking like a retest down in this area on the 155. Oscillators group the upside and crossed over, so that's not a really good sign. You don't want to be chasing longs here. You want to wait for that to ease off. If we drop down to the 3 hour, you'll see oscillators ease off quite nicely. We sort of get this one here. We're not really adhering to the support levels at the moment, and always a little bit of a worry when you see that kind of stuff, but obviously we need to wait for this bar to finish before we see that. So at the moment on the 3 hour, I'm not seeing much except potentially another sideways motion. You can see this was sideways, then squirt up, sideways, squirt up, sideways. That's kind of the view. Trend is up at the moment on the 3 hour. There's no doubt about that. Oscillator's easing off quite nicely. So this area and possibly even a little lower is still something we need to pay attention to. So that's 13,345 and 13,258. But if we look at the hour, you'll see oscillators group nicely to the downside. We don't really have support to the left. There's nothing here. And this level was tagged. So it's kind of almost a situation for me. I need to wait for a break because if we start pulling back down here, I suspect that we'll bounce and then we'll move back down to probably break it, and then we'll be looking at this level here. So that's kind of my view at the moment. Any breakdown to 13,258, I'd be looking to buy. Alternatively, we need to be paying attention to what's going on here. So I just want to see. Oh, we've got a gap right at the top there, and we're 62 points from it. So you've got two gaps here. You've got a gap at the top here. You've got a gap at the open. A lot going on the moving averages here, and I think maybe we may see something on the 15-minute. I lie. There's nothing here on the 15-minute. 15-minute, you've got to cross over the moving averages and look at the grouping here of the oscillator. So indicating that potentially another leg down. So I think for me, pay attention to this area, 13,345. I'm not confident that we're going to get something off that. I think you're more than likely going to get something down here. And I think the last thing we want to do here is just double check those gaps, because we're clearly missing something. There is a gap down here still, and here, and here. So you can see there the close there is 13,157, and the open on this bar is 13,158. So there's a 1 point gap there. There's another 1 point gap there, and there's another 1 point gap there. So if I take a block and just put that on that gap, and do that. Sorry, let me just try and show you what we're referring to here. It's not exact, but you get the picture. So there's your support level, which is 13,258, and then you've got gaps in the zone below. So very possible, very, very possible that we come and test this area as well. Looking at the hour, it not really pointing to that, is it? So, but I think drop looking like a flag. We've got to find some support. You can't jump in on this just for the sake of jumping on it, because oscillators group the downside. So I would be interested to see if we can get back above the structure at 13,442, find support there, close those gaps, come back, find support, and then continue up. I think a clear break above 13,490 and support there would give me confidence that we have another leg up. But I think based on price action yesterday, I can see big down, big up, big down, big up, big confusion. So I'm kind of hesitant to jump onto this in any direction right now until I see some decent structure and preferably a decent level being tested. So these two levels up here, 13,490, 13,442, if we can get above them and find support, it also breaks a little bit of a wedge formation, which should get us moving back to at least test the highs of last week up there. Alternatively, if we start rejecting these levels, then I'm looking for support somewhere down here, but very cognizant of the gaps that we have down here. And I see there's another gap further down, so do that. Come on. Oh, you see, there's a gap there. There's a gap. There's a gap. And there's a gap up there. So quite a few gaps down here. So I think that's kind of a strong possibility as well that these gaps get tested. And you can see there's another one up there. And another one up there. So very gappy all the way up to this area here. Okay. Anyway, I'm sit on hands at the moment. I think if I do see something, I'll scream. But for me at the moment, we're going to need to clear the highs of last week and find support there before I'm looking for something to the upside. And I'm definitely not going to short. It'll be against the 2-day trend or 3-day trend we have in place. But I'd be looking to see if we can find some support here. But I'm very cognizant of these gaps here. They are always treated as magnets. And it's when price starts doing that, you know it's looking for something. And it's already had support there. So that's been tested. So that's not looking for support there. It's probably looking to break that. Hasn't tested this area here. So it'll probably find support here. Reject there, come and test all these gaps and then move up. So in other words, a bigger range forming. Sorry, on the 3-hour. See that all the way down to the bottom here and then back up. So really messy. I think I'll need to see breaks the upside before I start looking at this. Until then, looking for support further down. And 3 hours is a great example at the moment. You know, even a retest and close of these gaps is still technically in the uptrend. So it's only a break of last week's lows that gets us short. So that's kind of my view for today. Hope that helps, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning. Cheers for now.